It doesn't matter how smart you are, how much money you make. If you have grit, you'll find a way. Some of the happiest people I've ever met have had nothing, living in the woods, living off the land.
Yeah.
The freedom of consciousness, once you know who you are and you know what your purpose is, and you know that you're a good, kind, loving person, and you stop worrying about what other people think of you, you can live a non-toxic lifestyle.
Welcome to the Health Insights Podcast. In this episode, we're joined by Warren Phillips, known as Non-Toxic Dad, a passionate advocate for non-toxic living. Warren shares his journey from battling chronic health issues to educating others on creating healthier lifestyles. He defines a toxic lifestyle and emphasizes the importance of education in making informed choices. Warren discusses how to optimize your home environment and the impact of everyday products on our health. He inspires listeners with stories of transformation and highlights the power of community and incremental change. This show is brought to you by Thea Health, dedicated to empowering individuals to take control of their health and well-being. Visit theahealth.ai to learn more. All right, let's dive into today's enlightening conversation.
Warren, welcome, my friend.
Yeah.
How goes it?
It's going good, man. It's good to
All
be
right.
here. This is a great atmosphere, great energy in here, and I'm excited that I get to do this interview with you.
Awesome. So just so we're clear, you're toxic dad or
Yeah,
non-toxic dad?
You're a jerk. You made that up. No one's ever said that to me. They go, "Hey, you're toxic dad, aren't you?" No, I always said I know who you are. You're not a toxic dad. You know what they say? It's funny because my voice is very penetrating.
Yeah.
And it has a unique tone to it. And they're like, I recognize your voice on the other side of Home Depot, when you were talking to the cash register. And I just wanted to introduce myself. Like that's my claim to fame.
You know what's funny? I told my fiance that I'm interviewing you. She's like, "Oh, I know non-toxic dad. He showed up on my news feed." So if you wanted a confirmation that your content is getting out there, it is.
Beautiful, man. That is the mission, right?
Perfect.
Education.
Yep. All right. Well, number one question.
Oh, you're getting right after it.
Yeah, I am. I really want to know.
Yeah.
You promote a non-toxic lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
Can you define what a toxic lifestyle is for everybody else?
Yeah. I mean, we talk a lot about mindset, right? And I think like when I interviewed you, like you're really big and setting a vision, right?
Yep.
And not making excuses and taking self-responsibility. And I think toxic lifestyle can be defined in so many ways. If you're not toxic lifestyle, is here's what to sum it up, is not being educated, not having the education that you need to make the best choices that are going to give you the best life. I think that's what a toxic lifestyle. You don't know what you don't know, so that you can't make the best decisions that are ultimately going to serve your body and humanity. I'll give you an example. If you don't know how to properly raise your children, how many moms and dads out there are doing what their parents taught them and passing on a toxic child rearing, toxic behavior, and passing it on to them without knowing or having the gift of going to masterminds and learning from some of the best psychologists and therapists and having free time to read the best parenting books. So the lack of education has now created a toxic environment, right? And so toxicity is really lack of knowledge. And I just made this up on the spot, but if
Brilliant.
it's just lack of knowledge. And if you, here's the cliche saying, if you know better, you do better, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't feel energetic to me, but it's really the whole driving force of what I do is to help educate so that people can make informed choices for themselves. I don't care if you live a toxic lifestyle. Let me put it out there. Do I care about humanity, your children? Yes, but that's your choice, right? Those consequences are on your shoulders of your actions, and they'll hopefully lead you in a better direction in this life. And you're still loved, you're still forgiven, you're still could be an amazing person, but the choice is yours. And if I can help bring education and inspiration and hopefully motivation for you to live a non-toxic lifestyle. You had Crohn's 3 different doors, you kicked them all in and you got well, right?
Right.
And I had mitochondrial dysfunction, chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, weight gain, obesity, I was probably diabetic, but I wasn't using a CGM,
Yeah.
continuous blood
Continuous glucose monitor.
I can say the word, but the analogy, like my
Yeah.
brain gets it.
CGM. Yeah.
CGM.
Yeah.
Like MGM, but CGM.
That's right.
So now I
Just the
remember.
C.
Yeah, just
exactly.
a C instead of an M.
Yeah.
Use some of that brainwashing from, watching too much TV as a kid.
Yeah.
So that's what I would say is as a toxic lifestyle. And that can be from the things you're putting on your skin, right? One of my pillars, toxic absorption, things are absorbing what you're eating. You just don't know better. Toxic ingestion, inhalation, microplastics in the air. You don't have an air filter. You have this furniture is all toxic, flame retardant sprayed in this room. We know that, but we're strong enough, right? The wood is pressed board, maybe not this one. That's solid. I can knock on things and I'll know, right? I'm that good, right? My wife's like, why are you always knocking on things? Because I'm identifying the sound because I know. So, and then, like I said, that's going to be the volatile organic compounds. That's toxic inhalation. And then you have toxic mindset and toxic energy, which is frequency, EMF, electromagnetic fields, electric fields, magnetic fields, frequency, which is Wi-Fi and cell phone, right? So those are all the categories. And toxicity is a toxic lifestyle is a life that doesn't understand these insults that slow down our bodies and slow down our brains and eventually slow down our spirit and who we are as humans. And that's the sad part, right? Really, the ultimate goal of living a non-toxic lifestyle is reconnecting to yourself, nature, God, and then therefore after that, it'll just spill over into humanity. Pretty philosophical, but
No, I think it's amazing because you nailed down an actionable way to explain it. I think some other people, when they speak about toxicity, they'll give lots of examples, but it's like, how do you boil it down to one specific thing, which you're saying is education or lack of knowledge, that is making you not make the decisions that are conducive to you being healthy or a better lifestyle because you don't know better, right? I think that is powerful. But I did want to go down that rabbit hole a little bit with you.
Sure.
Because, you just mentioned the saying, hey, look, if you know better, you do better. Unfortunately, I think both me and you would agree that a lot of people do know better, but they know better, but they don't do better. And I think there's a lot to unpack there, but I'd love to understand how you're approaching the education piece, but then allowing them to do better. Because I know you do a lot of content around that and you're very educational. But then on the flip side, all those companies that make toxic things and want people addicted to those products, ingredients, or even companies that don't know that's the case, but they have a product that's been around for 7
they're
years.
just doing it like WD-40, right?
Yeah, I love Calvin Klein's shampoo or whatever. Like, it smells great. My mom used it. I used it. Like, why? I don't want to stop using that. Like, how do you unpack them actually doing it? Because, even with us, we see that the adherence to doing the things you're supposed to is conflicted with everybody else telling you, don't worry about that. Do this easy, fast, cheaper thing that, is not actually going to impact your life, even though we know it will.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't do better even when they know better because we put excuses in the way, right?
Okay.
That's one of the biggest ones, right? Another reason is if they do better, it's almost acknowledging that they weren't doing correct, especially for your children, right? But then the opposite can be true. When you know you're not doing better for yourself, but then it's affecting a loved one, then you'll shift things. Example, I was back in my nutritional consulting days, we'll call me a health coach, right?
Sure.
This woman, it's a powerful Black woman from the city, didn't have much money, but she found a way, just gritty. Now we talked about gritty humans and how they produce great outcomes. It doesn't matter how smart you are, how much money you make. If you have grit, you'll find a way, right? Just like you did with your health and just like I did, even though at times I felt like giving up, to be honest. But there is those moments. And she her daughter had a fissure. She was bleeding from her anus profusely. She was on 2 different anti-inflammatory drugs, and they were ready to give her surgery where they were going to give her a colostomy bag. I didn't tell you this story. Like, so,
No, you didn't.
and this woman had this new motivation. Her daughter was about to, she said, it's like, this is going to affect the rest of my beautiful daughter's life.
Yeah.
I cannot allow this to happen. Will you help me? This
Yeah.
is all the money I have. And you could tell that she saved up and she wanted to pay. It's not like she was looking for any help. It's like, is this enough? I'm like, absolutely. Like, let's go.
Yeah.
Right. And with the limited knowledge I had even then, I mean, I was probably 5 years into my health journey, but exposed to a lot. And a lot of the things that I was using on myself, I did a bunch of research. I didn't know everything, but I'm like, I'm dealing with someone's daughter. You know, my wife was actually with me at the time. She was my helper in the consult. And this lady completely changed her diet, took the supplementation that we asked her to take. And she not only did it for herself, she did it for her son. And through the course of their journey, she was probably 200 pounds. She turned like into a thin, beautiful, she was already beautiful, but this powerful, beautiful woman completely changed her life. She went home. She didn't make any excuses. She didn't say, well, this is going to go bad. This costs me money. She took everything, wiped out her whole, that's what I asked her, like, how did you do it? She says, I just did it. Everything went in the garbage, or I gave it away, and we did everything you told us to do. That's what you told me. If you do what I asked you to do, it's going to make the difference. Your child has a chance. You're going to get your lives back. And her son, who had, he had to have surgery like every year, and he would go in and they'd say, yeah, whatever was wrong with his heart, he usually had a surgery for it. And because he changed his diet, he didn't have to have the surgery that year. The mom lost all this weight, and her daughter, I think her daughter was like 9 years old. The fissure, after like 3 weeks on the diet, it was 75% healed. And after a couple months on a diet, fissure completely gone, completely healed, just by taking action. And that's the inspiration people need. But sometimes they won't do it because they don't love themselves. They don't think they're worthy. They don't think it's going to matter. Like, we make all these excuses and we put up all these blocks because we have to face the reality that we live in a massively toxic world, and the business isn't for us. The government's not going to save you. Like, all these straw men we put up.
Yeah.
Like, when I was sick, I'm like, really? How could they allow silver amalgam fillings? No, they wouldn't do that. They care about us, right? No.
Right.
They care about themselves. And I don't think it's a conspiracy as much as some think. They're not that organized. Don't give them as much credit that they have some special brains because they were bred with aliens or whatever, it makes them smarter than us. They're no smarter than a mom sitting, listening to this right now. They're no brighter than you. They don't have a bigger heart than you. We all have this capacity. They just had a more privileged life. They were raised a certain way for politics. In some respects, they could be less qualified to help you.
Yeah.
So that's not their job. We can only control what we can control. And once we learn that, that's the block, right? That stops people from making these decisions, is they're counting on someone else to do it for them. And you need a motivating factor, your asthma moment, like your colitis or Crohn's moment, my toxicity moment, my fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, anxiety moment to create change. And so I never blame anyone or judge anyone that you can't make the change, because I needed a trauma in my life, and it was toxins that caused my trauma, right? So that I could wake up and be open to a new idea, a new philosophy, a new way of living, because it's not hard, but that initial inertia, that initial force is heavy. And once something's in motion, it's easier to keep in motion, right? You're pushing on a ball, and it's really hard, but once you get the ball rolling, it's not that hard to overcome that mindset. So that's why the inspiration, that's why the videos, that's why the making fun of yourself, the skits, the humor, all of it is to help give you momentum, help get that initial force to get the ball rolling in your life. Just remove air fresheners from your house. If I can get you to do that, and fragrances, it's like, that's easy. And then you notice a difference and you go, that SOB, freaking right. Non-toxic dad was right. because it's an easy one and it's a huge one. Fragrance is one of the first things I would
Yeah.
challenge anyone to remove from all their stuff, because once you do that, you'll notice your brain fog significantly lowering, because it's a massive neurotoxin, neuroinflammatory, causing massive brain fog, allergies. It could be making your nose run. It could be doing so many different things. It can even show up on your skin, and it could be, frying your detox pathways. It can be causing hormone dysregulation. It's just a massively toxic thing that's created to be an addiction, essentially, just like natural or artificial flavors. Let's not pick on natural as much. We can pick on them too. So that's,
Yeah.
I don't know if I answered your question, but
You
I went.
you did. You
Okay.
did. I think so. A couple of things that I want to dive into there. One is the examples you gave were extreme life situations that
Mhm.
kind of like shake you out of your boots.
Yeah.
And it's like now you have to make a decision. Your daughter's about to die potentially,
Mhm.
or at least at the very least, she's not going to have a normal life and be sick forever. And so are you willing to put everything you have on the line
Mhm.
and all your money to get better and trust non-toxic dad to guide you when nobody
Non-toxic dad to be, but yeah.
non-toxic dad to be
Yeah.
Warren at the time, versus how do you feel like social media is all about quick dopamine, quick content digestion, and yeah, you might have a lot of things that motivate people, but is your basic premise here, hey, if I can get you to do one thing and you notice a difference, then of that ball, we've a little bit started it. And then another thing, and we've a little bit pushed it down the road until maybe like 3, 4, 5 things. Now you have real momentum and you're feeling up for it. But maybe you have some data on this, or you've talked to enough people who have made these changes where it seems like, and this is true for everybody, it's like, the dad that stopped drinking, the day he stopped drinking, when he got into a DUI, almost died and wasn't there for his son, right? It's like, those are the examples compared to we're educating, we're making it fun, we're making it playful. I do feel like those are different. Obviously, you're not going to go and say, here's trauma to somebody to learn their
It might be
lesson.
trauma,
Right.
because you're taking away what?
Yeah.
My silicone cookware?
Yeah, exactly.
You've gone too far, non-toxic dad. You're not taking away my parchment paper coated with silicone, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
But it's releasing siloxanes, right? What am I going to do? I mean, it's what the data shows,
Right. So I guess my overall question to you is, obviously what you're doing is resonating because you're getting millions of views, comments, people thanking you for the education that you're putting out. How is it becoming real? And what are some of those use cases that you're seeing of how people are telling you that they're making changes?
Well, the most powerful ones that I hear is when a younger person comes up to me, like that was the Home Depot example. And this kid can only be like 23 years old.
Yeah.
And knowing that I'm reaching a younger group, or I'm speaking at an event and go, my daughter sends me your videos, and they're a health influencer.
Yeah.
And sends me your stuff and tells me this is stuff we need to do, mom. Right? So when you can reach that generation, that feels really good.
Yeah.
Because that is our future. And they have a really big hill to climb when it comes to toxicity. They have devices, the social challenges, especially because of devices. Devices really show that you lose connection with humans.
Yeah.
You tend to be have less social skills. It can even drive into anger because you spend too much time on your devices. But kids are tougher today, right? You think they were, like when I was growing up, sadly, the kid that got picked on was the kid that was overweight or had a weird name. Warren was a weird name, so I got picked on a little bit, right? That was about it, right? And then if you're overweight, you might get picked on as well, because that was different then. Now that doesn't happen as much. We've cleaned up a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
But now it's so complicated for our children, even just socially, let alone the amount of toxins that are in their schools, and flat roof buildings, and all these schools are full of mold. Like, it's not just, it's a level of toxicity like we've never seen, and they have to face that. So if we can educate these kids at a younger age, and I can reach that generation, not just the moms, but the moms' kids, and then it can become their idea and not even mom's idea. Mom's happy because kid is coming to mom, but
Right.
now they're motivated. They made the choice, because we all want to make that. You don't want to do it because I told you so, because no one wants to do that. Like,
Yeah.
I got 3 girls. I want them to choose to do it because it's what's right for them. I'll give them
Right.
information, and I'll even let, like, my one daughter, like, come on, please throw away the Athleta plastic pants.
Yeah.
Like, it sends chills through my spine because it's that bad. Like, it really, it's not like a small one. It's a big one,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? It, from a frequency level, from the BPA that's likely in there because they're being sued for not disclosing that.
Sure. Yeah.
And then the microplastics. And then, you know, it's not good for the planet either. You're putting microplastics in the air. It's, you know, you can literally melt that stuff down and recycle it. It's just plastic, right? And so, but everyone has to learn on their own terms. They have to choose it and want it to create a lasting change.
Yeah.
And so that's your job. You know, if you want to create a movement like we want to create and that we are creating, is people are ultimately brighter than you think they are, right? I'm not talking down on anyone. I'm talking to them one-on-one, people that are smarter than me, that know more about some of these moms. I can't believe the level of non-toxic knowledge. They teach me. I just happen to be the guy that has the time, the energy in my heart to do this. And I get to take what they share with me and bring it back out because they teach me. So it is a community, it is a movement. And I think that if we can make non-toxic cool, we can make the non-toxic lifestyle, the new keto, you know,
Yeah.
but it doesn't die because keto has a use. You know, it can't be everything, because all the keto guys, well, you can't stay in keto for too long, you know.
Right.
But before they were all keto, you know, and
Yeah.
you know, because we grow and we learn. We all do, even me, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I learned something new about non-toxic living, you know, every day because I'm being bombarded with it. What do you think about this, Warren? I'm like, oh, let me look it up. We'll see.
Yeah.
So I still skated the answer a little bit, but I think we got it.
Nice. No, very good answer. So essentially, because I'm learning right now, as you mentioned, your game plan here is we're making a movement, something you can get behind, believe.
Mm-hmm.
It starts with the younger generation who anyway is more prone to experimentation and not, for example, like they're not drinking as much alcohol, you know, they're not doing those things. You could argue they're doing more drugs or etc., but at least they're conscious enough now where they're choosing things, at least pockets of them that are better for them and are able to listen to that and care more about the environment, how they're treating their body, etc. So it's kind of like attach yourself to them and let them be the loud voices with you. And then we have a movement where it's now cool to not be killing yourself, your lifestyle, your planet. It's now cool to be part of something that is more consciously, let's say, elevated and energetically aligned, right? And so
I mean, it's happening mostly through moms, but what blesses me, what gets me excited is if I'm reaching, you know,
those younger
deeper
pockets.
into the youth. I mean, and they're suffering, they're sick, and they know it, right? And so I think that's that they're very interested, but they're not very trusting, right? They call BS really fast.
Yeah.
So I haven't figured it out yet, but that ultimately would be the goal. Right?
That's the demo, that if you can win them, you basically won the other ones.
Yeah, it is, and I think it will happen. It is happening.
Yeah.
I see the momentum because I've been in this for 20 years, and grain-free crackers didn't exist at Whole Foods.
Right.
I had to order them, you know, online, you know, shipped from California because someone was making them, you know, in their home kitchen, and, you know, shipping them to us. You know, grass-fed, grass-finished meat did not exist at Whole Foods.
No, it did not.
And eventually the farmer starts selling to them, right? Where I was getting my meat, right? Raw dairy, free range. Well, you could always get eggs, but we had a farmer that would come to our office and sell, you know, all the farm stuff, the different meats, the lambs, He was a crazy guy, actually. I mean, he was nuts.
Guy
I loved him.
sounds amazing. I would
Yeah, it was nice. But
have wanted to meet him.
this is where you would find your, healthy food. Whole Foods, even though it existed, it had the vegetables, it had a few things, but it wasn't, all these options weren't available. So you've
Right.
seen this explosion. And unfortunately, people have taken advantage of that with greenwashing. And a lot of the stuff at Whole Foods is just because it's Whole Foods. I just went with a guy, just walked down the street with him. He's like handing me this. I'm like, if there's this many ingredients in here, I'm not even going to waste my time. Like,
You're like,
if
I
you
don't
want a
even need to
lotion,
know. Yeah.
let's just, if it's more than 4 ingredients, like, it doesn't need to be that complicated, right?
Yeah.
Just find some shea butter. Like, let's just keep it simple. Like, all this other stuff is marketing.
Yeah.
So it's exploded too much in some ways, but everything's accessible today. And
Yeah.
organic clothing lines are blowing up. People are writing me, let's start an organic clothing line. I'm like, I got 3 girls. I got plenty of businesses. Like
Yeah.
let's not dive into another business. But then it gets even more fun, because there's organic and there's industrial organic, and then there's like regenerative farm organic. And with organic clothing, there's organic clothing that's not that great regulated, but then there's textiles that are even like, if you even knew how bad organic clothes were. So
Yeah.
so there's
Right.
this level of almost like, uh, I always liken it to certain faiths. Like there's like the Church of Christ, and inside of that, it's like, well, we don't play music,
Yeah.
Oh,
Right.
well, we play music, but the cooler ones are the ones that don't play music, and that's what we really connect to, right? So I always, because I look at my, I'm not from the Church of Christ, but I just notice that any tribe or people group, there's like next level of like judgment when it comes to
Right.
what's the right thing to do.
Who is more extreme? than the
Yeah,
next guy?
so it's definitely moving and I think in a good direction, because people fly under the radar underneath the organic shield, and it might not be all that much better than conventional in some respects, and that's why conventional gets mad. It's like, you're charging that much more,
Right.
and you're really not growing it that much different than what I am, right?
Right,
And
right.
so there is this balance that's starting to happen, right?
Yeah. And that's, you go back to, there's always going to be people who are going to take an opportunity if they see it. Oh, I can make more margins by saying it's organic, but it's really marginally better, if at all, right? And so
Depends on the product.
the product, yeah. Okay. What would you say, one thing that was interesting that you mentioned was, even your daughter, whose dad is non-toxic dad, uses a pan that you're like, please don't use that, and you want her to make the decision, right?
Just one.
Just one.
She's holding on to one.
No worries. Yeah. So I'm just trying to say, there's examples of your children still doing, even with you as the father figure, who has
Absolutely, yeah.
educated them from the ground up to understand these things. I think that was going back to my original point, like, when there's convenience and the convenience is so high and the brain just,
Oh, all the other girls are wearing it,
everyone's doing it. This is the best thing on the earth. Everyone thinks it's popular. And so if I don't do it, I'm not cool, or whatever the case is. With those examples, what do you feel like overall is the biggest challenge when people are trying to live less of a toxic lifestyle? Is there one thing in particular that you see? Is it like the family dynamic needs to be cohesive so that everyone's bought into the vision? Is it they need to see, like the saying goes, people need to be reminded more than they need to be taught? Is it that they need to be told over and over again to finally make a change, where enough is enough, and like, I need to change my life so that I will do it? Like, do you have any insight? Because you talk to a lot of people, you produce a ton of content around this, and I'm sure you get engagement. Are you seeing a pattern that there's things that, like, if we got rid of these things, these challenges, it would be a lot easier? Or do you feel like it's more of a personal thing and everyone's circumstance is different?
Yeah, I mean, the pattern that I see, my brain's an AI, and so is yours.
Yeah.
Way better, actually. So I have data points, and so if I'm reading comments and I'm listening
Yeah.
to the audience, and I'm trying to find ways to reach people, that's why I like using humor, because I feel like it softens the blow.
Right.
And I can sneak through to their heart, and they might actually listen. But usually, what happens, and this is the biggest challenge for me, is you have those that don't believe and those that do believe,
Right.
right? And the goal is to create a message that's entertaining enough, and it takes a lot more work to do this, right?
Yeah.
That's entertaining enough that it can reach people who may be over here and may be over there, and they can both agree that this is, whether we agree on this content or not, that was pretty dang funny,
Right.
right?
Right.
Or informative. I'm not going to do that, but thank you for sharing. But most of the time, what you find is people's BS, their belief system, really dictates whether they, you know, come into this
Yeah.
this non-toxic lifestyle. Where I have been very effective is both husbands who have one or husband, wife, partner,
Yeah.
however it may be, use me as a tool. I'm their educational weapon. I told you so, right? And if it's the right video, they
Yeah.
send it and they
Yeah.
listen to it,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I get those stories. Like I've shared a number of, you've been shared with a number of times. My husband finally gets it, right? And it took like 20 of your
20
videos,
videos. Yeah.
or it opens them up to listening. Like Emma over there, who's watching this, her boyfriend listened to a podcast of hers on natural health and what's going on in our food supply from this
Yeah.
Harvard, it might have been Stanford grad. I don't know if it was one of those schools. So there's clout in the medical community, and now sharing this knowledge that this isn't crazy. Like this is facts. This isn't fringe living. This is living. This is how we were designed to live.
Yeah.
Right? We were designed to be in connection with the earth, the microbes, the food that we eat that's coming from the soil that has minerals in it because the soil is alive. Our gut is alive, right? It dictates even how we think and our emotions. Like so many of these things aren't, this is normal. Living a toxic life is not normal, right?
Yeah.
So when people can make that connection, but it's never because we beat it into them, right? Or we force it. It has to happen over time. The psychology of it is called incremental persuasion.
Mhm.
If you can get them to eat a little bit of your content,
Yeah.
over time, you can have an impact. So, and it is working, and it is the incremental. There's one thing that I'll say that, and what I like to say is, even if they disagree with you, I still have you.
Right.
Meaning, I still was able to touch you in some way, whether you believe it or not. You might have heard it from me,
Yeah.
shut it down, but then you hear it 30 more times. And then I might get lucky and it makes mainstream news. And I didn't get the win, but the news media got the win. And 20 people told that person. Have you ever done that with your parents and you share stuff and they're like, Joe Mercola said, or
Yeah.
who was Dr. Oz said. And we're like, now that, how many times does that happen
Right.
in my life? And I'm like, so because Dr. Oz said it, now it's true. And they really never, they heard it, but they never listened.
Sure.
But I'm still part of the solution. I don't need to get credit. We just need the outcome. And that incremental,
Yeah.
the same way we got brainwashed, essentially,
Right.
to believe that, SpaghettiOs was
It's
really
good.
healthy for you,
Yeah.
right? Is right.
It's more uh-oh.
Yeah, it's more and less
Yeah.
SpaghettiO, right?
This brings up a really interesting point. You mentioned that we were meant to have a non-toxic lifestyle.
Mhm.
We were meant to be with the microbes. We were meant to not be toxic. On the other end of the spectrum, some would argue and say, we were never meant to be sitting in a high-rise on the 20th floor doing a podcast that's going to go on a screen this small. It's going to be viewed by millions of people. We were never meant to be in the sky, sitting in the sky, going from one city to another country. We're never meant to go to Mars. How do you envision, and I'd love your thought process on this, how do you envision us still having these crazy innovations that probably are net positive for everybody, right? Because the human psyche, I think you would agree, and correct me if I'm wrong, by nature humanity is positive, or else we wouldn't have built anything and just stayed the same
We're creators.
fr-
Yeah.
from throwing stones at a fish to catch it, like not inventing fire, not cooking the meat, not, all of those things were us solving problems and progressing forward. And so how do you but the flip side of that is, because of all these inventions, there are side effects, some good, some negative, right?
Mhm.
How do you see the world in that lens, right? Because we want to, like, you're a businessman, a successful businessman over 20 years. You've built things and had products and trainings and courses, and now you're doing lots of content. And all of that's progressed, and technology has allowed you to do it better, more, faster, et cetera, right? So how do you feel, like, how are you fusing that, or how do you envision today to maybe like new solutions or new problems and new solutions could be the answer? Or is it with innovation going like crazy, there's going to be even more toxicity, even more reasons to shield yourself? And I'd love your opinion on that, right? Because I think this sometimes
Mhm.
gets heads butt, and people don't really know how to navigate it. Like, well, I like my apartment, or I like where I live, and I know New York is toxic, but it's busy. All my friends are there, right? So it's like I just love to kind of pick your brain and see where you're at with that type of conversation.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, and and I get it all the time. It's the greatest excuse, right? Is like, we can't live a non-toxic lifestyle. We'd have to go live in the woods,
Yeah.
and uh, your choices. Well, you are resilient. Now, for me, I've always felt the closer I get to nature, the better I feel.
Hmm.
Right, the further I get away from nature, the less I feel energized and
Yeah.
and happy. Right, but if I get around good people and um, a less than natural environment, it's nature to me too. Like, so,
Hmm.
uh, it's all going to be choices. It's going to be up to the individual. William Penn said it best. I choose the country life because in the city you see the works of men, and then in the country you see the works of God.
Hmm.
I kind of disagree with him, because I think everything's this is, and I don't think God's mad about this, right?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, we've created it. I mean, we're creative beings, but I personally would choose the country life too, just because I think it's more, like I said, more original connection, more tribal, more primal.
Yeah.
And so I love that, but that's not a reality, right? Where technology is going to progress, and I don't
Yeah.
know where it's going to take us. I mean, you could fear AI, or AI it's going to create so much wealth that everyone's going to be getting a stipend from the government. Those are real conversations happening, because jobs are going to be less, and
Yeah.
there's you know there's all these challenges. I think we will always innovate if our hearts are right. I think we have to be aware of toxicities and what the human body can handle, and not ignore it, and lessen the load as much as you can. Your body does get smarter slowly through the process called hormesis. And so it learns how to deal with more toxins, the bacteria, like all these things, uh, slowly as we become more toxic.
Yeah.
Our body does adapt and get better at removing toxins. We do adapt. And so, I mean, I have hope for humanity, but I can never, like, am I scared of technology? No, I'm using technology as a
Yeah.
tool, but
Yeah.
I try to keep it away from me. I don't My cell phone's on airplane mode. I don't charge it near me. I shut my room's electricity off at night. So the home of the future could be where every home at night, where it's built in the building code that you have to shut the electricity off. Maybe we use a different frequency on how we wire. Like,
Right.
there's innovations that we're tripping over that wouldn't cost humanity anything, that were a lot healthier for us.
Yeah.
We would, and it is happening. Like the MDF board, like the press board, they're just coming out with one that's VOC free and formaldehyde free,
Yeah.
using a non-toxic glue, right? Which is sustainable and regenerative. And, so these technologies and our building materials can get a lot better, right? So there is a future for non-toxic living. We don't have to spray uh, flame retardants all over this couch. There's other ways to do it. We can get back to natural materials. renewable resources, right? So there is a movement that's happening, and that's how I'd like to see our future. Is that going to be for everyone? There's always the thing going to get to be the really cool guys, to live the perfect non-toxic
Yeah.
lifestyle. You have to have a lot of economic means,
Yeah.
but you don't have to have money. And you can have all the money in the world and you can be sick, right? I mean, some of the happiest people I've ever met have had nothing, living in the woods, living off the land,
Yeah.
in Africa when I was over there for a trip, meeting with tribal leaders back in the day, and just so smart, so beautiful, teeth are straight, energy. If I had that, and I was sick when I was there, but the energy, the clarity, that these are my experiences, and
Yeah.
everyone's experiences are differently. So, I mean, it's not going to change, bro. Like I'm still going to, I'll do your blood glucose monitor even though it has plastic in it. Right? And I know it's giving me microplastics, but I can detox those bad boys out.
Yeah.
Right. So what do you think? Am I allowed to ask you questions?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So what do you think?
I 100% agree. I think the nature of humans is to be at the base level, we're optimists, right? So people go, we do all these bad things for our planet. Like, how could we have this? I'm like, if you look at us from 1,000 years, it's nowhere near the lifestyle. Like, it's completely different. In 100 years, it's going to be completely
Oh,
different.
it's going to be really different.
I really agree with you on 100% that innovation, like new problems, new solutions come. Why does any business ever get started that actually does something? I'm not talking about like quick arbitrage or those things aside. Any business that has long-lasting value is because it solves a problem. If your couch is giving you cancer, I'm just paraphrasing, giving a black and white example. Someone's gonna make a couch that doesn't give you cancer, right? It's like this is
and they're everywhere now,
right. And it's like
you had to get Amish to build your furniture, and now there's Medley, and
right.
It's one it's top of mind, but there's all these companies making non-toxic
right.
furniture.
Exactly. And like we were just talking, I travel now with a portable air filter. Any hotel I go to, or when I haven't been coughing since I do that. So like somebody solved my problem. I was like, I hate the air quality when I'm at a conference or whatever. I bought 2 immediately. I was like, I'll give you all my money to.
Yeah, that's what they say is if you want to be a millionaire, solve a million problems.
That's right. Yeah.
You want to be a multi-millionaire, solve multiple million problems, right?
Exactly.
Even if it's $1, right? And
right.
then the more a problem you solve, the more impact you have, right?
Right. Exactly. So I'm 100% aligned with you. I just wanted to kind of see where you were coming from. Yeah. Honestly, I'm not surprised given like you're an entrepreneur, a content creator, etc. I know you see the world in a positive light and you're always looking for innovation, and obviously you're very innovative, so it aligns.
We're doing some innovative things. Yeah, and that's why I created Cyto Detox as well, right?
Yeah.
To be the real deal. Patent that it's true, right?
Yeah.
The process that we make it with, it's really clean. You can measure it. You can throw it on an LCMS or whatever you want to test it. It is what it is, and it does what it says it's going to do, and it can help protect you from toxins, right? But it's not as important as removing toxins. There's no product or pill or potion that can fix this. Like, you have to understand that nothing's going to protect you. You have to make good choices on the daily. There's no product that's going to protect you. But that's where that innovation came from. Like,
right.
I don't want to be just saying that it works or saying that has this particle size. I want a patent to back it up. It's patented clean, patented liposomal, like no one's done it. And if we're going to bring something to market, let's bring the best, and that will spur innovation.
Yeah, totally.
Someone will be like, son of a gun, non-toxic dad, has a product that really works. Like, I got to up my game, and let's do something, and I'll cheer them on.
Yeah.
And when I see other content creators, I'm like, that was a great video. I wish they would have got more traction on that.
Right.
So that mindset is how we change the world, right?
Yep.
Is we create these innovative products that help protect your body from toxicity. It's not the end all beat all.
Yeah.
It's gonna, but it's gonna really make you know that you're doing something. It's gonna add protection, which will help your mindset, knowing that you're not alone, right?
Right.
You have, a natural ingredient that's from nature that can help protect you. So that's a beautiful thing. And that alone is one of the reasons I love having something like that, because I think it gives people someone's like, hey, I got a little exposure today, but this stuff's protecting me. It provides some level of protection. So it gives people hope, because you can't avoid toxins.
No, that's very well said. 2 more things, and then we got to wrap up, being conscious of time.
Yeah, we get to.
Yeah. So there's a lot of things that you even touched on: EMFs, diet, lifestyle, etc. It feels like you've really leaned into the home as the starting base to optimize your health. And this is from a guy who you were a health coach, you were doing nutrition, you have your own supplements, right? What made you, and nobody really other than you talks about this, I feel like, or at least you put this on the map, let's say, right? What makes the home the best? And maybe I'm wrong here. Maybe this isn't where you would start, right? But like a lot of your content does feel like take care of your home, and you have a webinar that people can go and check out, like how do you optimize your home to be
You have a
non-toxic.
docu-series, yeah.
Docu-series, right? So
Homesick Home.
homesick home.
I've
So-
invested a lot into these projects. I have.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I do believe in them.
Right. And so I'd love to, is the home where everybody should start? Do you feel
yeah,
like
it's where
that's
you
the
can.
most
It's like your
important?
mind. You can control this,
Yeah.
right? People can be saying things to you. You can have things working against you, but if you can focus on what you can control, in that moment, it's going to move you forward. If
Yeah.
you can't control it when you go outside of these four walls, but I can do things like even your hotel. Like I bring a big air filter, right? I bring my own sheets. I bring my own reverse osmosis system. I've created systems
Yeah.
that even at a hotel, I try to protect myself. But my own home, I get to tweak my environment
Yeah.
and measure it, and it's your second skin, right? It provides something you can control where you can rest and restore, where you can enjoy your family. You can bring nature inside with plants so that you're and lighting in such a way that it's more natural as we were designed. And I think lighting will move back that direction over time. I think homes will
Yeah.
be optimized. Now there's hotels are becoming longevity hotels with non-toxic. The one hotel uses all organic ingredients. They have
Yeah.
organic sheets. They have organic beds. So that didn't exist. That
No.
wasn't a thing, right? Because people are caring about this stuff.
Yeah.
So building materials are getting better. Furniture, natural fibers, flooring, like all of it is now available to us to create a safer home. Because if we can't protect, what the heck's that?
Seriously. I was trying to ignore it, but
What is it? Just outside?
yeah.
We'll just let it
Man,
roll.
we're on the 20th floor. Like that's gotta be blaring on the ground.
They'll move past.
Yeah, they will.
Oh, great.
Don't worry,
No,
we'll
I'll just keep rolling with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's something you can control. It's your second skin. You don't want to put toxic lotion on, so therefore that may have formaldehyde in it, right, as a preservative, or your toilet paper, or that you're wiping and you're putting microplastics. So why would you want to have a microplastic couch that's putting microplastic dust into your home, or a plastic rug that your baby is getting exposed to phthalates and other toxic chemicals? Like, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So what you can control in your home puts a big lift. And for me personally, until I got where I slept and where I spent the most of my time, when I couldn't get that right, everything else was falling apart. And I had I'm up in my attic, sealing ductwork, taping things, because it was pulling attic air in because of the negative pressure. Like I had to do all these steps, but I knew I had to get my home right where I was sleeping. And it was hard to get I think it was like a 600 square foot condo healthy,
Yeah.
right? I can imagine it does take time, right? And you might have a mold problem, so you have to put air filters in so you can, get your humidity down. You can do things to make your home better, but it is a journey, but it's leading you somewhere. And for many of us, our home is our number one investment. I imagine a future where a non-toxic certified home has more value because it brings more life,
Right.
right? And the home of the future is going to be more indoor outdoor space. It's going to have more plants, and pretending like you're living on Mars, if you will, like a home that's cleaning the air with plants and filters and air exchangers and all the things that can create a healthy home. I think it'll be more commonplace in the future, because I know that the the real estate agency, the real estate market, um, commercial buildings, it's going to be a demand
Yeah.
by people. Construction mold isn't going to be washed under don't worry, that's just construction mold. Don't worry about that if they put that into your house and there's a
Right.
big black piece of, particle board that they're putting up, or plywood or whatever. Like, I think the market is going to demand that we make cleaner homes, because a lot of
Yeah.
our health conditions are linked to
Yeah.
not having a place where we can be rest and restore.
I want to unpack a little bit. This is, I think now we're getting a little bit into your vision, which is amazing for everybody listening. But I want to unpack the vision the little bit more. So to get to the point of, hey, I want this home to be non-toxic and the market is demanding it to be non-toxic. How do you see us getting there? Where probably I think most people, if they're not feeling well or sick or unhealthy, even if they're not going to the conventional medicine route, are
Mhm.
most likely going to diets. Oh, I should probably be keto. I should, or then the next thing to that would be, oh, there's like supplements I should do. Or then the next thing to that would be, I got to detox. I'm toxic, right? I got to do infrared saunas. I feel like optimizing their home and demanding that to be the thing is levels deep from the things that I listed in terms of being top of mind. Correct me if I'm wrong,
I
right?
think it is. I think people
Yeah.
don't want to face it because it seems expensive.
It
Like,
seems expensive, right?
yeah,
So
I do
how do you
face that.
envision us? Because I'm with you. Like I'm gonna talk to you about building my next house
Yeah.
with me.
And there's, I mean,
I love it,
like a
right?
healthy home builders now exist where they
Right.
can truly ground your whole home, remove
Yeah.
all, there's special ways to do your electric where you reduce or eliminate electric fields.
Yeah.
Again, you have to have cash to do that. Good thing you pushed through and were an entrepreneur and added enough value,
Yeah.
right, to be able to afford them. Not everyone can, but 10 years ago,
Didn't
no one
exist.
had jobs doing that. Now there's builders and there's certifications
Yeah.
to be able to build these kind of homes. So the market has shifted.
Yeah.
So, uh, like, I guess the question is why isn't that?
Well, no, it's like I feel like that's the maybe on the pole of things to do
Mhm.
to optimize
Oh,
your
it
health.
should be like, to
It-
me, like,
it-
it's number one.
It's your number one, but I feel like in most people's minds still, and this could be lack of education. Like most people don't even know their home is toxic,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
most people know their diet sucks.
yeah.
And I don't think if they were truly honest with themselves and you ask most people, they would say, yeah, look, my diet sucks. And I know I need to improve
Well,
it.
most people don't know that their home sucks.
Right.
Like, I think it's one of those things where it's again, it's like, oh, our building materials aren't safe. Like, how do they get away with that? Like,
Right.
I don't think anyone thinks that, oh, this couch from,
Right.
IKEA, or, I'm dating myself. I'm like saying J.C. Penney for some reason, but I don't, that's what came to mind.
Yeah.
Kmart. Just kidding. So, but you're thinking that this is safe.
Right.
Restoration Hardware. They do have a little bit better stuff, but really pricey. What a
Yeah.
markup they make. Wow. They do a great job.
Yeah.
So kind of. So they just don't realize, just like you didn't think your dentist was putting silver amalgam fillings in your mouth. That had to be safe. So I think that most people don't realize home building practices are making you sick.
Right.
Right. I just don't think there's enough education. And when you're new to the rodeo, at first, no one hears it. So you got to say it and keep saying it, and spend $1 million on a docuseries and continue to talk about it on social media. And eventually you hope for the market to shift, for a higher level of consciousness to happen, and a shift to healthy living and a healthy home happens. Or
Yeah.
the people, so many people are moving to regenerative farms. Even like a lot of the famous, people that follow me, they have regenerative farms because they know, right? They have the money, they have the insights to create these and live on regenerative farms with their family. And you're doing the same thing. You're like, oh my gosh, I gotta have a healthy home because I've
Yeah.
seen what not living in a healthy home did.
Yeah.
So, but that being said, if you have a small, tiny home in the country with fresh air, with original building materials, stone and concrete, these things don't off gas.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there's tiny home movements where they build them healthy. They build them inside so there's no mold. It's completely contained.
Yeah.
Like you can downsize and be really healthy. That's what I meant when I said if you want it bad enough, you can have it. I had
Yeah.
a 600 square foot home. That took a lot to get well, but you
Yeah.
could get a 600, and we had a family of 3, and we lived just fine in 600 feet. And we had our second, and we decided, well, let's go move into
A little bit.
yeah, it was a townhouse now, right? And that took some
Yeah.
time to fix, so, but the smaller, the easier to fix. The bigger your home, the harder it is to
Yeah.
keep safe. So it doesn't matter how expensive the home is, or how inexpensive a home is, you're still going to have to fix them
Yeah.
because all the building materials suck.
That makes sense. So essentially your message, just to kind of make sure I'm being educated properly, is look, the vision is we get to a point where these homes are built from the ground up, non-toxic, they demand higher value, and this is going to be some standard in some
Yeah,
transitionary standard.
I think
But
it's going to
today,
happen. Yeah, I do believe it's going to happen.
yeah,
And it's happened with the green movement, right?
yeah,
Where we made things tighter, which turned into more toxicity.
yeah,
But we put these regulations, we gave incentives. So why can't it happen for the non-toxic movement?
yeah,
Which we all can agree on,
yeah,
right?
absolutely.
I mean,
And
we all agree on the green movement to some degree, right?
Mm.
Some people don't believe in global warming and, all the
sure, yeah,
different things. But I think even those two groups can believe that the toxins in our home
yeah,
are
Mhm.
making our families sick, are lowering, you know, uh, our ability to progress as a nation, right? And let's be clear, other nations don't build homes like we do, right? They don't get away with what we do in America. So you can, if you wanted, if you had the means, you could move to another country.
right,
And I mean, mold grows everywhere, right? But just in general, how we build homes, as airtight as we do, and some of the building materials we have to have the nice looking coffee table from XYZ, low cost furniture company. Like we're making all these choices to look nice, but it's ultimately leading to health consequences that just aren't worth it. I didn't have
yeah,
a coffee table. I just didn't have it. I didn't have a couch. I just sat on plastic chairs. It was plastic, but it wasn't off-gassing, right? It was
yeah,
older plastic chairs and a wooden coffee table,
yeah,
right? Or
did the
someone who
job,
gave me a chair, right? That I,
yeah.
wiped off and cleaned and it was,
I love
old,
that.
right? So
Yeah,
I didn't care what people thought. I just cared about my health,
yeah,
right? So it's like wearing a plastic dress. Like you wear your sheen, so you're wearing or whatever uh, fast fashion you're wearing so that you look good, but there's a consequence to that switching up with
right,
inexpensive clothes versus, the opposite spectrum, wearing natural fibers, having a very limited wardrobe. And this comes back to the freedom of consciousness. Once you know who you are and you know what your purpose is, and you know that you're a good, kind, loving person, and you stop worrying about what other people think of you, you can live a non-toxic lifestyle because you can make choices that aren't based on what society is telling you should do. And I know it's fun and all those things, but I think that's another level of
yeah,
consciousness that enables you to live a non-toxic lifestyle. You just don't give a rip anymore. I wear this same T-shirt. It's organic. It looks good. The dye's perfect on it. Probably not.
yeah.
I mean, I might be in a organic hemp shirt the next time you see me. Let's see if I up my game.
We'll see.
We'll see.
Awesome. All right, one more thing. And then I'm gonna get you to tell people where they can find you and explore your content, which is obviously amazing if they want to build non-toxic homes or fix theirs. But I did want to dive into how are you using, or how are you using technology today to help with your businesses to get people to live less toxic lifestyles or get healthier? And is there any that you have found that have been more helpful than others?
Yeah, I mean, I think, like biohacking devices. I mean,
It can be any
yeah, I
tech,
mean, like a lot of that technology is
yeah,
great,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like, LED lights. It's still LED, but the infrared, right? It's
sure,
still good.
yeah, yeah,
Red light therapy. So it's not perfect, or you can get the ones that are natural light, right? Like sauna space, they use a real bulb, right?
yeah,
Like a firelight, like you are primal, right? So there's those technology. I mean, I think technology today, I mean, I still use obviously social media, my computers, my screens. I'm
yeah,
still using technology daily to reach people. I just use it in spurts, and I get up and away from it. I just try to live, balance with it. So I can't really think of any, like, I mean, there's lots of apps,
yeah,
and they're not perfect either.
right.
They're never going to replace your ability to think. So if EWG, you know, what's it called? Dirty.
30 dozen,
No, not the Dirty Dozen, but there's oh, I can't think of the apps. There's lots of
like the
them.
toxic lists,
Yeah,
basically. Like
it's been a long day.
they label the what's toxic and
Yeah,
what
yeah, and they tell you the
ingredients.
ingredients.
Yeah,
Not Think Dirty, or anyway, it has dirty in it. But
yeah,
even if that app, and there's multiple apps out there that do that besides that one just owned by EWG. It'll come to me. It gives you information at your fingertips. There's now, you
yeah,
can scan things and it'll let you know the ingredients that are toxic. Like, so a lot of that tech is great. And it's great to get you started, but ultimately you need to navigate that and use it as a tool, and don't just believe the tool, because
right,
it's limited in its wisdom. Um, I don't personally use a lot of AI, personally, but my teams do,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Because it makes things more efficient. So we have more time to do things that matter, that AI can help with. So
right,
I'm sure you'll be integrating AI into your platform,
yeah,
if not you're already,
we
because
are, yeah,
it can crunch data so quickly and
yeah,
find patterns, and it's answer questions. It's doing great, right? I mean,
mm-hmm.
Google AI does a really good job of finding all the studies that are linked to toxicity way better than I've ever seen. I mean, they
Right,
used to be buried,
yeah,
and now it
yeah,
brings them up. It has the link. You can look at them. Um, and so, yeah, I mean, I'm not a big tech consumer, so
cool,
I'm not a, technology guy like Timu and, Ben Greenfield
right,
and
right,
Dave Asprey. Like,
yeah,
they're using a lot of technology,
totally,
but innovation for sure, right?
mm-hmm.
Always using innovative products that people are making, right?
Amazing,
And they're smart. Like, the different this everything's getting more simple that comes my way.
yeah,
Like, it's not just 25 ingredients, it's like 3 ingredients. I mean, I get sent all kinds of stuff, and
I bet,
the
yeah,
innovation is, these people are smart. They're doing great jobs
yeah,
with their stuff. So
amazing.
I call that technology, nature.
It is. I think people always look at tech as something digital, right? But tech goes into innovating a new product, ingredients, research and development. So,
Yeah, like, how can you make a swimsuit out of cotton? You still got to put a little spandex in it, but how little can you get away with, right?
right, right.
So it doesn't, like, fall off,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So who thought that organic cotton bathing suits would be a thing, but they may be a thing in the future.
I love it. Amazing, non-toxic dad. Please let everybody know where they can find you, what you want them to do and see, and what the best way to do that is.
Yeah, nontoxicdad.com, and then nontoxicdad on all social. My most active community is on Instagram. My new podcast coming out. I think it's going to be called Non-Toxic Living. We're still figuring that out, like what
Awesome. We're
it's going
getting
to be.
behind the scenes here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a really powerful podcast that I'm super excited about, to create that movement that we were talking about, right? And there's so many brilliant hearts such as yourselves that they've had stories of impact and challenge that have created innovation, right? Technology that's
Yeah.
impacting the world. So it's
Yeah.
been an honor to be here, brother.
It's been an absolute pleasure and honor to have you, and keep doing amazing work. You're impacting millions, and I know that for a fact. So thank you.
It's measurable. It's data.
That's right. Yeah.
All right.
Awesome.
Thanks, brother.
Awesome, man. You were awesome. That was
Uh,
great.